Yes, we are now live.
All righty. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Yes and for Democracy. I'm here with my dear friend, Joni Miller. I should say Dr. Joni Miller. And we're today going to talk about how to move from what we really don't want, which is so obvious and creates all the outrage and the upset and the frustration, and moving towards what we really do want. Because what we really do want is where we want to head. And if we don't have a heading, how can we end up landing where we want to land? So we're going to talk about how uncomfortable it is to sit with feelings. I mean, this is partially an action thing, what we want to see, but also how we want to feel. So we're going to explore that for the next half an hour or so. And bear with us, this is our first time live. Last two times we recorded it, but we're being brave and trying it out. So off to you, Joni. What would you like to say about how we move from where we don't want to be to where
Oh,
we do want to be?
well, I think we first have to acknowledge what we're feeling, where we are, because that's what you do in tapping and so many other modalities of personal, I don't know, personal growth to help you. So for me, I've been feeling angry and scared and somewhat helpless. So those are the feelings that that aren't empowering, but they're very real. And even when we talk about what we really, really want and how we really, really want to feel, the sense of the fear is still going to be there. The anger is still going to be there. It's not like we can paper over it and make everything better. We can acknowledge it. It's the same thing. Yes, and I am angry, and I can still be empowered. Does that make sense?
Totally. And you can channel that energy into something constructive instead of just fueling the flame of outrage, which does get rewarded on social media, but is not rewarding in terms of your nervous system and in terms of your ability to take action. You may actually be disempowered by having too much emotion, being overwhelmed, and just in that instead of what little micro action might I be able to take. And it makes me think of the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. That's sort of a new one. The fawning is what the sycophants that are doing to, kind of preserve themselves. It's all coming out of fear.
Yeah.
And so when we recognize that we're sort of paralyzed or somehow in one of those modes, we can then choose a new way. We may do something that helps us emotionally, whether it's a tool we have, like you mentioned, tapping, emotional freedom technique, or the Jinshin Jutsu, which is an ancient healing art I practice, or breathing, or getting grounded, or taking a walk in nature, or whatever, to sort of shift the energy. And then we can do something constructive. And by the same token, you and I have talked about this before, taking a little action can actually do the shifting as well.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. We can come in either door, because one way will get us there and the other way will get us there as well.
And that that's important that, yes, we want to make big changes in the world. We want to see a world of peace, a world where everyone can thrive. That is what I really, really want. And yet there are times when it gets overwhelming. And that we also have to acknowledge that sometimes we can move forward even if it feels small, but sometimes even something small may feel overwhelming. And that's okay, because I talk so often in my spiritual geography stuff that it's, love for self, love for others, and love for that which is beyond our understanding. And in that work, I'm usually talking about something spirit, God, the universe. But another thing that's transcendent is democracy and what we want for that we do want everyone to be able to participate, everyone's voices to be heard, to be no unreasonable searches and seizures, that everyone has the right to due process. Everyone has the right to freedom of religion and freedom of speech, to say what they want, to worship how they want, and to be respected. So there are times when our actions, our small actions or large actions, can be devoted toward that transcendent feeling of democracy by calling your congresspeople, by joining a march, by even doing smaller things, quote unquote smaller things. They're not smaller things. By listening to someone who's feeling that they're being targeted, or listening to someone who's scared. But with this love for self, love for others, love for that which is transcendent, any of those places can be a point of entry. So if you need to take time for yourself to refresh and rejuvenate, that is still furthering the cause, as it were, or love for someone else by listening, by being, taking food to someone, or whatever it is, that is still moving this forward. And that may seem like a small step, but it can be big, because if you're rejuvenated, if you take the time to step back, then you can move forward.
I like the idea of stepping back to move forward, kind of getting the momentum going to move toward, again, what you want. I think this what you want thing is really, really important. And you gave such a fabulous list, although it's short compared to how many things are off kilter at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's something that I want to talk about that we haven't really discussed, but I think it's really important. I have found that I've heard a number of times, like, find your lane, find the thing that's important for you to do. And that's for you to do, and everyone else can do everything else. But part of me got gridlocked by that, overwhelmed by that, of like, there's so many things that feel like my things. Like, I care about science, and I care about healthcare for people, and I care about immigration. And I just started feeling like, well, where's my lane? Like, I care about all these things. And it was sort of disempowering for me to feel like, well, it's sort of like when people call me for a reading and they're like, what's my purpose? And if they don't have that purpose, they're feeling lost, and they feel like, well, I'm sort of stuck and I can't do anything. I sort of would like to turn this around and not say there has to be this one thing that is perfectly aligned to you. Instead, what moves me today? Maybe today I want to do the Stand Up for Science protest. Maybe today I want to go down and protest. I have a MAGA representative who presents himself as a moderate. Maybe I want to go down to his office for the protest on Saturday, and just do something, even if it's tiny, seemingly, just to feel empowered. I think that's so much of what's going on here, is them wanting us to be disempowered. They want us to feel like, well, you can't, why bother voting? Yeah, your vote's not going to count anyway. Why bother doing anything for anybody? Because it's just not going to count. Well, why donate money? Because the billionaires are just going to overwhelm you. But if there are 341 million Americans, and there are people all over the world. I mean, this is a sort of political discussion, but this applies in life in general throughout the world. If you care and you demonstrate that you care, chances are good something's going to change. Mm-hmm. Things do not stay the same. When there is a groundswell of people going, we want something, we can see a future that's different than this, that's better than this, that is more inclusive than this, that's more community oriented, more unity oriented. That's where we want to head. So if we all, the drops of water form the ocean. And so we all become those drops. Not all the time, like you say, sometimes you have to take a break. But rain will accumulate if we keep.
And that's, I was thinking about what Heather Cox Richardson wrote in her Letters from an American last night, which was about billionaires putting all this money into I think it's the governor's race in Ohio. And at first I was like, oh, I can't, there's just so much money pouring into these campaigns. And I felt that sense of what chance do we have? Until, didn't last very long, because I thought they may have more money, but we have more people. And then I thought of what Joanne Freeman often says about the Revolutionary War and how communication spread. So even if the airwaves, the traditional airwaves, are being ruled by people who are trying actively to kill democracy, to make it an oligarchy, there are ways that we have over the generations communicated with each other by saying what it is that we care about to our friends, to speaking on the on the street corner. I've got the image of the revolutionary period when I say that, but our modern day speaking on the street corner is YouTube, it's Facebook Live, it's what we're doing now. So that if we can do that, then we are reaching people in that old school way, person to person to person. And there are more of us than they have money.
And we have passion.
And we have passion.
I mean, to me, my perspective is there's only so much passion you can have for money, particularly when you have billions. How many more? Like, oh yay, billion.1, or 20 billion, and now I've got 30. Like, how can you even tell the difference? So, but we're like, these are values. These are things that are heartfelt. These are things that are really important to us as human beings connecting to other human beings. These are lasting things. These are not things that are ephemeral and are just going to blow away. You can, when you die, again, you can't take it with you, but you could be at your deathbed with people around you that love you and know that you've done something in this life that's made a difference to someone, to anyone, whether it's even an animal, a human, the planet. Like you can feel good about having done something. So to me, this fire, and again, like, Americans do not like tyranny. We have demonstrated that. Remember that the Boston Tea Party? It wasn't a party. It was a protest. So here we are, like, yeah, I am not going to just go down without a fight. And when I see someone like, well, they're just going to try to block the midterms, they're going to try to block the midterms. They are. And we don't have to let them get away with it. Like, I'm not going to be on their side saying, yeah, we're stuck and it's over. Nuh-uh. I'm going to be like fighting it until I can't fight. And people have different reasons and different motivations for wanting what they want. Again, you may be really clear. This is my issue. This one thing is the thing that's for me to work on, which is great. I love that. People fired up and they know and they have clear focus. For those of us who have more diverse interests, that's fine too. We're all going to just keep chipping away and at it. Cumulatively, we're going to get somewhere. But this idea that their desire, their greed will outweigh our fire and our values, I just don't think that's true. I think we have a significant amount of power that's untapped that we haven't even checked into yet, which is part of why Joni and I are fired up. Like, let's do this, people. Like, anyone who's sort of sitting on the fence or sort of discouraged, do a little something and just see. I can see if maybe that feels good to you. You feel like you're connecting. You feel like somebody just yesterday, I saw them saying, I'm not really a protester. Well, I could totally identify with that. And now I adore protesting. There's a new protest that's going to go down at the corner, not too far from us, a couple blocks away from us. It's going to happen every Monday morning. I'm like, well, how can I rearrange my schedule so that I can go? And I'm an introvert. Like, it's not like, oh, yay, I love big groups of people. But this is not social. Like, it's not like going to a party where you have to talk to people and make small talk. No. You're all like, I want this. This is what I want. This is what I really, really want. Which brings me to something else. And I'm sorry, I'm hogging for a second. But our subconscious mind doesn't really hear not. So I don't even love the no kings because it emphasizes your brain hears kings. And I'm not designing that. And I know millions are going to come out and I'm excited for that. But when I'm going to think about what I'm going to say or what I'm going to advocate for, I'm not going to say, I don't want concentration camps. I'm going to say what I do want, which is to have due process, which is to have a way of which people get processed and they can leave the thing while they're getting their due process, you know. So all these things have their positive ways of describing things that I think is really important, both in terms of language, but also in terms of intention. So our brains are focused on what we want, what we want, what we want, instead of what we don't want.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because there have been times where you hear, I've heard someone pray, and when the prayer is all the things that are wrong, you can feel the energy going down. But when you're talking about what is it that we really, really want, what is it that, now I have my own, I gave you a partial list before, and I'm one who, like Christy, cares about a lot of different things. So there isn't necessarily an issue that is my guiding issue. That's, if you have that, please plow ahead with as much passion as you can muster, taking the rest and breaks that you need. But sometimes it's, what can you offer? Like, what are the skills that you can bring to this challenge? I don't want to use any WAR language, but what can you bring to this
I
challenge?
translated that. I got it.
Um, and I know for me, I can talk. I can bring lots of different issues together in a way that maybe helps other people understand complexity. That's what I think I can offer. And yeah, I can offer other things too, but if I can concentrate on what this skill of mine, and I had a little, can I call it a skill? This skill of mine. Yeah, I need to do some
You can.
tapping
It's
around my
definitely a
self-esteem
distinct
here, but
skill. Yeah.
that's something that I can offer. And I know you, putting you on the spot, had an insight about that last year.
Uh-oh. This is mind reading. I did? I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you talking about video?
I am talking about video.
Okay. Well, we'll actually talk about this probably in another episode because I have another video challenge coming up. But I've learned how to help people make connection videos. I was in a connection video challenge many years ago, and I loved it. I didn't think I would because I'm an introvert, but it was a great way to communicate. Like even now, you can watch us. We recorded the previous two episodes, and it was just like this. I mean, we're live now, but it's no different. We didn't edit it at all. This was just us having a conversation. That's the beauty of connection. You get to have a sense of who we are, a sense of what our sense of humor is like, the things that are interesting to us, the things we're passionate about. You can see me tearing up because I'm getting passionate again. And you really get a better idea what people are like. So I help people learn those skills and then go out in the world and speak up and say what's important to them. So it's not something that I would have ever expected I'd be good at. I was the kid that ran away from the camera. I didn't even want my picture taken. And my family, nobody was like, Dad, don't take our picture. And here I am, like, okay, this is who I am in my 60s, looking the way I look, sounding the way I sound, being who I am. But that took many, many years of integration. If I were 20, 40 years younger, I'd be like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not my thing. But having watched so many people go through these video challenges, you get a prompt every day. Again, I'll talk about this probably in another episode, but it just becomes transformative, not just on camera, but off camera of like, oh yeah, like this is just who I am. And I have a voice and I have something to say and I can go out and say it in a way that feels comfortable and I can stay in my own skin and be okay with who I am and what's important to me. So being able to find something, and not everyone's going to have something like that. If postcarding is your thing, and you, like, say you have some time constraints, you only have a certain amount of time per day, and that's the time, maybe you have 15 minutes at night, and you can write 3 postcards or whatever. Perfect. Like that is sort of your wheelhouse right now, and then maybe it shifts over time, and other things become more your thing. Helping voters register. Maybe you go in front of a library and you're helping people get registered to vote. Like there are so many ways you can make a difference. It's amazing, actually. that there's such a wide range of opportunities for us to jump in, whether it's this political thing or elsewhere. Again, I know a lot of my viewers on YouTube are international people, and they may be like, oh, politics, US, but these things also apply in general. Because if we find ways that feel aligned to us, then it's just going to, help all of us, rising tide lifting all boats, helping all of us bring more light to the world, bring more love to the world, help us expand into what is possible. I think that so much of what is missing here is that as the regime, and I'm talking again about the US, starts reducing and cutting and destroying, it like shrinks the world, shrinks our world. And we can expand. We have like this ability to be these more infinite beings. Why not step into it and leverage that and become more empowered instead of less in the face of this?
And yes, and
I love the yes and. It's our theme.
With Christy following her passion about how she could make a difference, that's how we connected. So if you are in this sense of authenticity that you are following your passion, you don't know who you are impacting, and you don't know where that's going to go. And if you're in this space of love, because my thing is grow more love, love for yourself, love for others, love for the infinite, then it is spreading that love, that sense of peace, that sense of what we really, really want out into the world. And you don't know, you don't have to decide where it's going to go and who's going to be impacted, because the ripples of love are going to go where they need to go, and the connections are going to be made. Because I have to believe in hope. I have to believe that the more people who can gravitate to this sense of empowerment and the sense that they have something to contribute, even if it feels small, especially if it feels small, then they are the raindrops coming down, they are the waves in the ocean. And that is how we move forward.
I'd love to talk a little bit about small because this seems really important here. We have no idea what impact we're having. It is so fascinating when we learn, oh, back a year ago you said such and that really impacted me. What? Like, to me, it seemed like no big deal. And so many of us take our gifts and skills for granted. I see this over and over again when people come to me for readings. They'll be talking about something and they have totally taken this amazing gift for granted. And I'll be like, have you noticed that you have this thing? And they'll be like, well, yeah. And I'm like, do you realize not everyone has that thing? Oh, really? It's very, very interesting to me how we take it for granted because it comes easily for us. Whereas if we overcome some big obstacle and we've become better at something we were terrible at, which to me is not necessarily a good use of time unless you really need to, then we're forgetting sort of who we came here to be and how this stuff that comes easily to us is often our sweet spot of where we can make the biggest difference. So us sitting here talking, she and I met last May in my first video challenge that I created. That's how Joni and I met. And here we are having this conversation. Well, how would our paths ever have crossed otherwise? I don't know. They might not have. And here I am like, I'm just helping people do some videos, but here we are having this conversation that, I mean, yes, there's only 4 people here. Hey, that's our best audience so far. Next time, maybe we'll have 6 because we're optimists, and maybe we'll tell people we're doing it before we do it. But yeah, I mean, it reverberates. It just, we really, truly have no idea. And I love that. That's part of that mystery and part of that love of what's possible. Faith and trust and love. These are feelings we enjoy. So why not lean into awe and wonder and mystery instead of leaning in so hard? And I know it's so hard because I get there. The outrage, the frustration, the disempowerment, the overwhelm. But I do like to come back to the idea of it is an act of rebellion for me to not go where they want me to go. Because if I can stay with myself around what's important to me and what my values are and what I want to fight for, what I envision as a fabulous future. Hopefully you don't hear, I think, a plane, maybe an F-16 or something's going over. Oh, good. Yay, Substack for noise suppression. But if we can do that, then we can change the world. And isn't that what we're doing in a way? Don't we want to come here and have some sort of impact, some sort of ripple, as you say, rather than, yep, I came and I died and it was over and nothing meaningful happened. Voila. No, I want to have the zest of life, man. I want to feel like I've not missed anything, and I've contributed, and I'm connected, and I'm finding my people, like Joni.
Yep. And now we're good friends.
And now we're good friends in such a short space of time.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we've covered a lot.
I think we have. Shall we wrap it up for today?
I think so. Who's doing the ending?
Well, I did the beginning. How about you do the ending? We came up with a little tagline to end our videos that we think captures kind of what we're up to. And so we're going to play with that. So you bear with us, guys. We're just riffing on this idea. Joni was like, let's do videos. And I'm like, oh, okay. Here we are. All right. Record on Zoom, but she had Zoom issues. So we're like, let's go live on Substack. Okay. Let's do that.
All right. And now let's turn hope into action.
Together.
Together.
Love it. All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week, probably live again on Substack.
All right. Bye. Thanks.